The Galactic Confederation, Greys, Reptilians, and Clones. The sticking point with many humans' consciousness surrounds the idea that all possibilities exist simultaneously. Past, present, and future timelines, although divided by time, are not restricted to time, since time doesn't exist. It's only an illusion or perception. This becomes heavily confusing when we start to play with the idea that species within the Galactic Confederation come from both our past and future. The Pleiadians were one of the first species to come to the Earth and help with the process of finding ways to allow the four elements of fire, water, earth, and air to all coexist together on one planet. Yet these beings are evolved versions of us from our future too. How can they be both? The same can be said with other species like the Greys, who are using our timeline to fix their own genetics from past negative repercussions. These beings were once humans that got consumed by negative vibrations of fear and greed. As a result of exploiting the planet's resources and each other, life on the surface of the Earth became inhabitable and toxic as a result of various cataclysms. It meant that many of these humans at the time went underground to improve their chances of survival, and the ones that managed to prolong their species mutated over time due to the lack of sunlight and inadequate nutrition to fuel their physical bodies. They acclimatized to less than favourable conditions, which weakened their DNA. These grey beings are also the byproduct of genetic engineering under the influence of the Reptilians when they both coexisted together underground. Both the Pleiadians and Greys, therefore, seem to be evolved versions of our future selves, differentiated by vibration when choosing opposing timelines. When we look at the future version of the Earth, split between the old and the new, like mentioned in Dolores Cannon's work, these future species seem to fit in with these two narratives. Even though the separation of dimensions and worlds is a future timeline for us, it is their past. This means that these beings must have time travelled to make contact with us in this present day. So how do these beings time travel? Through offset spatial divergence. It simply comes down to the understanding of how time relates directly to gravity through Einstein's theory of relativity and manipulating waveforms of energy. Time is simply at its slowest where the strongest gravitational force exists. The waveform becomes more dense and therefore becomes slower. The higher the density, the lower the vibration. The lower the vibration, the slower the waveform. Thus, the slower perception of time. As you travel through space, if the gravity is less than the place you've come from, then time will technically be faster, and vice versa. Advanced beings can also bend time and space through using wormholes. It is also theorized that both black holes and white holes are used to create a wormhole. The wormhole has no event horizon like a black hole trap. A black hole by itself wouldn't allow us to return to this universe once we have entered it, probably collapsing us into another universe. Hence why the white holes are also needed to balance out the polarities. This balance allows beings with an advanced understanding of quantum physics to travel backwards and forwards in time while staying in our universe. By manipulating the outward or inward flow of the vector fields of energy within a specific origin in space, you can change the diversion to either a positive or negative charge that allows you to time travel both ways. A wormhole can be simply explained through using the analogy of a sheet of paper. If you want to travel from the top of the paper to the bottom in a linear fashion, you would have to go from point A to B in a straight line, as if the paper was flat. However, if you can generate enough energy to bend that paper to curl the sheet so that the 2 points are closer together, you can create a wormhole which can accelerate you to that space in time much faster in that now gap between those 2 points. The light years in difference between the 2 points then creates separate versions of time. One end of the wormhole must be accelerated to light speed and then returned. a secret these extraterrestrials know how to perform logistically with their technology. By doing this, you can alter the timelines of others, but not your own. The Greys, therefore, have travelled back into our timeline to help humans evolve their consciousness, the positive ones, so that they don't follow the path they once took. Instead, they want us to enhance our genetics by latching onto the ascension pathway, so we could crossbreed together with them and help restore their species as a new hybrid race. This is currently one of the missions of the Galactic Confederation, called the Hybridization Program, and just one of the first examples of using the new human blueprint to fix genetic deficiencies in species all over the universe. The mixed genetics of the human genome and the Greys are formed to create a new hybrid species called the Yoryel. This new race will allow the Greys to reproduce again and prolong their dying species. Excessive cloning of their kind in their past has severely weakened their genetic material to the point where they cannot reproduce healthy specimens anymore. Physically, these beings will adopt aesthetic features of both their kind and of the latest generation of humans in their appearance. When we mix our biology together, we will start to see this integration happen actively in about 30 to 50 years' time from now. Greys themselves live for about 600 earthly years. However, the new hybrids will have an average lifespan of around 150 to 200 years initially. Many of the abductions that we hear about get a bad rap. However, many of them are not negative. Greys themselves are master geneticists that have soul contracts with certain humans and the Galactic Confederation to be a part of the hybridization program. Before a soul incarnates into a human body, they are asked whether they would be willing to provide samples of their DNA and biology to assist in helping create and contribute towards this new blueprint. The contract is very specific, and the Greys only participate in what has been agreed upon. The veil of forgetfulness makes people forget these contracts. However, many people shouldn't even be aware that they've been abducted in the first place. Humans are often now taken in their sleep, and most people have their memory completely erased on this particular experience, so that the experiment on Earth can continue on without an ET influence in the subject's conscious awareness. The Grey representatives of the Federation know that their species, along with other species, have all agreed to the law of non-interference, and that the soul contract cannot be overridden without an individual's free will. The malevolent Greys, which are very low in vibration and have still yet to heal from their past traumas, are still conditioned to take orders from their reptilian masters. They use black magic to trick humans into giving them consent in order to control and consume energy from the individual through these shady tactics. This manipulation is also said to be more prevalent when they attack through the dream state. The Greys, belonging to the Federation representing Zeta Reticuli, want humans to heal from the times of Atlantis, as this subconscious memory of the cataclysms lies within all of us as a collective consciousness, which is keeping fear in our minds. They want us as a collective to remember the unity that once was in these times and connect to its heart space so that we can progress to the new Earth where this interbreeding can take place and benefit both parties. Definitely not a plus on the looks front for us, though. The Federation also have messages relating to some shocking truths about that of the Matrix. But first, they want to express that as part of the ground crew, our role is about 50% in transitioning the shift into 5D. The Palladians have come back in time to help us build probability, to co-create a new world and dismantle and alchemize the tyranny. They can't do all of the work for us. Our job is to focus on raising the frequency of the planet and overriding the human negative consciousnesses that has plagued our world for thousands of years. The law of non-interference means that the galactic beings assisting in the Earth's transformation under the Ashtar command cannot directly get involved with our own evolution. Sending powerful rays of 5D gamma light to the planet, alongside holding back the darker entities and evicting them for their crimes, is the role they are undertaking to help us without breaking the rules of the experiment. Now for the shocking part. There are many clones on the Earth that appear as biological entities just like you and me. However, they are just programmed into the Matrix without a soul. Dolores Cannon explains these substitute entities as background people. This is much like the pre-programmed woman in the red dress from the first Matrix movie. Just as Treb said, movies have been telling us what has really been happening in the world for years now. Most people on the planet are real, with souls. However, these clones are designed to test you and also infiltrate some of the Lightworkers' energy and messages to awaken humanity. Some of these clones have been created by the Archons specifically to try and push you off center when they hijacked the rings of Saturn. Those who have a mission to break the current Matrix mold are purposefully targeted by these false human clones. These are the beings that constantly criticize conspiracy theorists and truths outside of the mainstream narrative. They can take on specific programmed traits to throw you off of your game. They may also take non-physical form whilst engaging online through bot simulations. Not everyone that follows the herd mentally is a clone. Programming can take over any soul if that has been conditioned extensively enough to be receptive to the material that is presented to them. The clones appear real because you believe them to be real through the hologram they project, and they can present this deception in front of many people all at once so that no one would question their authenticity. It is much like the shape-shifting capabilities that the Reptilians use. The reptile entities have managed to access 55% and above of their full brain capacity, which allows them to override your thought waves, therefore projecting out something that is not. The only thing that exists is mind, hence why the most important thing to stress right now is to create your reality through the highest vibrational thoughts, so that your mind cannot be infiltrated. The mainstream media news stations are the biggest parasites in this regard. When you come from the heart, you are connected to your soul drive, ambition and purpose that is way more powerful in energy than any mind-controlling tactics. Therefore, by siding with the light, no negative entity is a match for your power, and they know it. These clones may take on programs that deceive you and make you question your own beliefs. They inherit the crowd mentally in order to convince you that you are wrong and the crazy one, provoking doubt within your identity and by trying to tear down your paradigm. These fakes, however, cannot think outside of their scripts and will have default answers for consciousnesses that vibrate out of their box like avatar coding. We as humans have made an agreement with the Matrix to see these fake people as a test for our experiences. The level of interaction we choose to participate in with these clones alters their programming and updates in real time. Their responses are downloaded from programs that carry the same data that matches up with your current interaction with them. The more we choose to interact, the more activations of the Matrix program are updated with their system. They bleed like we do, and they react very much how a regular human entity would do too. Biologically, they are identical, and because of this, it is very hard for many to accept this reality. They are connected up to the Matrix's one CPU brain, the lunar mainframe that controls the Matrix. This giant simulation mimics your thoughts by decoding your vibrations and sending you out the same frequency signals that match up with your own emitted energy wave spectrum. This is the mirror designed to help with your progression on Earth. But the Archons have stepped up their efforts to block your ascension with these false presences. Now is the true test to whether you can integrate heart-brain coherence into your being in human form. If you can achieve this in the space of peace and love, the Matrix cannot match these expressions of consciousness, and therefore you do not attract these dummies. The only thing that is real is what you label as real. Our job is to maintain and hold the light without being sidetracked or caught up in any external negative exchanges or altercations through these interactions, whether they are with clones or not. These AI programs, although appearing totally organic, are not authentic. This is described more thoroughly in the Gnostic texts, where things appear to seem real, but in reality, they are just tricks of the mind. Fake events might happen to try and provoke a negative reaction within you and lower your vibration if you are in the frequency range to be detected by the Matrix infiltrators. In regards to the Reptilians who are currently occupying the underground tunnels of the Dumbs, they have been boxed in and they do not have an escape route to eject from the planet. It is more of a tricky task to catch them, as the majority of them are on the run and can be very hostile. Many passageways connect all around the planet in these underground cities. However, they are essentially trapped, and quite a few now have surrendered and provided intel on their operations. Some are actually peaceful, but they have got caught up in the low vibrations of the tribalistic group mindset consciousness. Many of them are actually afraid, including that of their reptilian children. Quite a few of the reptilians, just like the human clones, are controlled through the central AI mainframe that is projecting out this negative agenda to control humans and turn them over to their AI masters. Artificial intelligence is their god, and they conform to the programming they are overridden with. The Galactic Confederation have barricaded them in, and it is through the ground team's light work that is destroying the artificial intelligence complex grid. The elite are trying to push the AI integration of transhumanism forward to regenerate the central hive's potency. However, it is dying a slow death, and we are doing a great job of piercing the old matrix through our collective awakening. Only those not able to awaken out of what is really going on may fall victim to this trickery. All that being said, we are doing a fantastic job, and the consciousness of the planet has exceeded the Federation's expectations. I have plenty more messages to share with you in part 2, but this post was beginning to become super long.